Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 188. In this episode, I am going to share 3 reasons why Stephanie Lueras is so badass. So, if you missed the last episode, Stephanie is a body positive certified trainer, fitness nutrition specialist, speaker, and #1 international best-selling author. So, it was a great conversation with Stephanie. If you missed that episode with the interview with her, go back, give it a listen. But if you're short on time and you just want to get down to the nitty gritty, then check out this episode, Why Stephanie is So Badass. Okay, so before we get to the episode, I gotta tell you, I'm feeling a little bit of relief this week. You know, when you set a goal and you finally hit it, it feels so stinking good. And while I'm not at the end of my book journey, I'm getting pretty darn close. So, A Woman's Guide to Taking Your Finances from Ordinary to Badass is my book. Hopefully it's going to be released in April. But you know what? I have the first part of it done. All of the editing is done. All I'm working on now is picking out my cover. I'm sorry, my dog is coughing here in the background. Every time I keep stopping it and redoing it, but it doesn't seem like he's going to stop coughing. So yeah, now I'm waiting for the designer to finish the cover of the book and do the structural part of it. But it's super exciting because it's so close to done. So I will definitely let you know when it's out on pre-sale. I'm just excited to get this baby out into the world. All right, with that, let's get to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or you're badass, I am so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to share 3 reasons why Stephanie Lueras is so badass. All right. First reason. Stephanie is her own advocate for her health. Number 2, she changed her reality when she didn't like it. And the third reason is because she took small, bite-sized action. All right, let's get into it. So Stephanie said to be your own self-advocate and understanding the reality of what is, not what you're being told. So good. I loved that so much. She had to find out things for herself. She had to find out what health meant to her instead of listening to what everybody else says health is. Just because you're overweight doesn't necessarily mean you're unhealthy. Or just because you go to the gym doesn't mean you want to be a skinny mini, right? And so Stephanie talked about that and talked about how she really wanted to define health for herself. But man, being your own advocate is huge. So big. And as some of you know, I've been doing health coach training. I'm just about to get my certification after a year long of schooling, so I'm super excited. And I recently just learned about that too, about being your own advocate and how important it is. I feel like it's so underestimated or undervalued. Maybe it's just not talked about how much you need to be your own advocate and really stand up for yourself and stand up for your health. Oftentimes, we think doctors are the professionals, that they have to have all of the answers. You know what? They don't. And here's the other thing is yes, they learned specific stuff while they were going to school to be a doctor, but it doesn't mean that they learned nutrition, right? But we expect them to know. It's like we expect them to know all things about our body and health, and they can't know it all, right? And they didn't necessarily get training for it all. So I love how Stephanie said to be your own advocate. And not only did she say it, but she was an advocate for herself and figuring out what she wanted to do and what she needed to do for her body. Because what was right for her body might not be right for your body or for my body. But you really got to listen to how your body's feeling and what it's telling you. And then also stick up for yourself. Or if something's not feeling right with you that a professional says, and I don't care, that could be a doctor, that could be a health coach, that could be anybody, right? But when it comes to your health, this is so important. So stand up for yourself. Or you can say, okay, thank you. And then go find somebody else who will take another look at it. Or maybe somebody else whose values aligns with your values. Or maybe you go to like a holistic doctor, right? Instead of going to a regular doctor, you switch and go to a holistic doctor. You try different things, or a functional medicine doctor. You can try different things. And so, yes, you should be your advocate, but then also, like, a doctor or whoever you're going to see should be willing to explain things to you and say them to you in a way that you can understand or that makes sense to you. And if it's just not sitting right with you, go see somebody else. I once heard Jennifer Esposito talk, and I'm probably mispronouncing her last name, but she's an actress and she was a lead on Blue Bloods in the first several seasons. And she also wrote a book called Jennifer's Way, My Journey with Celiac Disease. So Jennifer struggled with celiac disease for many years and she never knew it. Never had any clue. All she knew is she's having all these health issues and just constantly like having these weird things happen to her. She was in pain and no doctor could help her. And then one time she was on the set of Blue Bloods and like a tooth went flying out, or broke off and went flying out. And so she was like, what the heck is going on here? This is not normal. And so she went to a doctor and they couldn't help her. And she's like, what the heck? She's like, if you don't help me, then I don't know what's going to happen. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm so tired of going from doctor to doctor to doctor, because she had since she was a child. And you know what? They booked her into a mental health institution. They thought she was going to be suicidal or that she was crazy because she had, like, always thinking she was sick or had issues, which she did, but they didn't know how to diagnose it, or celiac disease wasn't that popular at that time. So she was committed to a mental health institution, and her dad had to come and sign a waiver to get her released. And they literally thought she was crazy. And all she was doing was being an advocate for her health. And finally, she went to a doctor who told her she had celiac disease and helped her change things around, change her health around. But you know what? She had to keep going to doctor after doctor after doctor. And this had been for like most of her life. And they could never figure it out, right? So much so that they put her in a mental health institution. And then come to find out it was celiac disease. But she had to be her own advocate. She could have stopped going to the doctor and succumbed to depression and just stayed home and said, forget it. There's never an answer. There's never this. But she didn't. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong if you do get depressed, anything like that. I'm just saying, like, it was a hard path for Jennifer. But she still pushed through and did it. So don't underestimate yourself. Or don't underestimate your intuition. If you know something is wrong in your body and you can feel something is wrong with your body, then listen to that and fight for that, because it is your health, right? It's not somebody else's thing to tell you, oh, nothing's wrong, but you know if something is right or wrong. So be your own advocate, fight for your health. Is there anything going on with your health right now? Is there anything that you have gotten an answer for in the past regarding your health, your body, that didn't feel right, but you went with it anyway? If it's still bothering you, there's still time. Take a page from Stephanie's book and stand up for yourself. Be your own advocate. And you know what? Don't always believe what you're told. Or just because you're told something doesn't mean that you have to accept it as the truth, right? You can fight back. You can look for other answers. You are a badass. Okay. The second reason why Stephanie is so badass is because she changed her reality when she didn't like how it was going. Now, Stephanie talked about how she wasn't happy as a pastor. She didn't feel right, or something didn't feel right. She said she kind of felt like she lost her spirituality and she felt like a fraud. Have you ever felt that way? Do you feel that way now? It is hard when you feel like a fraud. Now, let me tell you, there are two different things where you can feel like a fraud. One is when you're not living in reality with what's going on, right? Like maybe your values are in direct opposition of what you're doing. So that's one time where you feel like a fraud. And the other time you might feel like a fraud is if you have imposter syndrome. If you have imposter syndrome where you feel like you're not good enough, you're not enough, somebody else is more capable or more qualified than you are. Either situation, you can change, but right now we're not talking about the second situation. We're not talking about that feeling of you're not enough. We're talking more of the feeling of something that doesn't feel in alignment with who you are, right? And something about being a pastor didn't feel in alignment with who she was or what she wanted for her future. So she decided to make a change. That can be so stinking hard. Change is not always easy. Actually, a lot of times it's not easy. But that's where like the payoff can be, or the big reward is when you listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, and you make a change. We often know what it is that we want subconsciously before we know it consciously. So when you're getting these little intuitions, these little nudges saying, oh, maybe you should do this, maybe you should check out that, then that's telling you something. It's usually not going to steer you wrong. Another thing that Stephanie said was that she wasn't happy. She was just hanging on, barely surviving. And she just felt like she had a stagnant spiritual life. A lot of times when we're feeling unhappy, that can be a sign, right? It can be a sign that something feels wrong, something feels off in our life, and something maybe needs a closer look at it. Maybe it needs to be tweaked or changed or adjusted. It can be a direct indicator that something in your life needs to change. But we have to listen to those feelings of feeling like a fraud or feeling unhappy or feeling like we're just in a lull or in a rut. Is there a reason for it? Is there something in your life that's just not working the way that you want it to? And how can you tweak it? Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your feelings, to those little intuition or the nudges that you get. They are telling us so much. It's like the more we ignore them, the more they kind of fight back against us. And it's easy to feel miserable, because we're not doing something that we know we should be doing, or we're not listening to that inside voice, that North Star that's inside of us that kind of directs us in different ways that we want to go. So I thought that was so badass that Stephanie changed her life, changed her reality when she didn't like it. Like, this doesn't always happen overnight. It takes some time. Sometimes you have to get so uncomfortable with your current situation before you're willing to make a change. And I have done that. I have been there. I get it. If that's you right now, I get it. But you can make a change. And even if it's just one tiny thing at a time. So, speaking of one tiny thing at a time, that's the third reason why Stephanie is so badass, is because she took bite-sized action. So Stephanie did several things with her health that were bite-sized actions. They're super manageable and they seem piddly when you look at them, like from the outside. And it's easy to be like, I'm not doing that. What's that going to do? What's the result of that? But we forget there's a long-term payoff. Small, tiny changes can have a big impact. So don't underestimate the small changes that you can make. So like Stephanie was trying to figure out, when she was overweight, she said she was at her heaviest weight and she was trying to think, what can I do? What is something that is feasible, that is possible? And so she started with a 6-ounce cup of water. And then she'd set a timer and walk across the office and fill her water bottle and come back. And she did that multiple times a day. And so then from there, it's like the habits would continue on, right? So it goes from the water to her eating habits. So she decided she was going to start cooking at home when she used to go through the drive-thru 2 times a day. And so she's like, it doesn't matter what I cook, what I do, all I'm going to do is cook at home, eat food at home. So then that got her away from eating out, right? And so then she could tell herself, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I want at home as long as I'm cooking it, as long as I'm making it. Sometimes it's those small mindset shifts that can set you on fire. I'm serious. Like, they can completely light you up. I used to do that with my runs when I was trying to train to run my first marathon. I would tell myself, okay, no matter what, you're just going to come home from work and throw on your workout clothes. And then you're going to go out for 45 minutes or 30 minutes. Maybe it started with 30 minutes. And you're just going to go out for that time and move your body. Move your body. So even if I didn't run, even if I felt too tired and I wanted to walk, then I would walk. Even if I just walked the whole time, fine. And the funny thing is, if I would just tell myself, put your workout clothes on. That's all you got to do. Put your workout clothes on. Then you can decide, well, once I had on my workout clothes, then I'd be like, well, you might as well just go for a run now. So then I would end up going out and going for a run. Or I'd be like, well, you might as well just go for a walk. And then once I was walking, I would run. So sometimes it's just doing those teeny tiny triggers, like those things that will set you up for success and propel you to do the next thing, right? And so then once she was cooking at home, then maybe she started cooking a little bit healthier at home. And then she also talked about how she wanted to start getting some exercise in, but she really wasn't in shape to go that far. So she would just make it a point to be the one to go with the mail every day, right? And go out to the mailbox. And then that became further and that became further. And then she's run marathons and now she's going to run a triathlon or compete in a triathlon. It didn't happen overnight. It takes time. If Stephanie can do it, you can do it. I promise you that if I can run a marathon, you can run a marathon. Because I was never a runner before I ran that marathon. Ever. What I have found is it's all about mindset and being able to push yourself, to believe in yourself, to think that you can do it. And it's like just setting little tips and tricks up along the way. Oh, let me just run to this point. Let me run to this stop sign or street light, right? And then I'll walk. Let me walk until this point and then I'll start running again. And just doing little things, teeny tiny things every single day that set you up for success. I know that there's no difference between me, Stephanie, and you. Like, we are all badasses. We can do so many badass things. It's just a matter of believing in ourselves. You are a badass right now, right this second. All you have to do is admit it. All you have to do is believe it. I see it in you. And if you don't see it, I got you. I know what you're going through because I never could have seen it for myself. I really couldn't have. And I know that from talking to Stephanie, it sounds like she couldn't have seen it for herself for a long time. Other people believed in her before she believed in herself that she could do it. Which is also the power of having other badasses, other strong women who are going to cheer you on, have them in your corner, right? And be that for the women around you. All right, let's do a quick recap. 3 reasons why Stephanie Lueras is so badass is 1, she was her own advocate for her health. 2, she changed her reality when she didn't like it. And 3, she took small, bite-sized action. If you like this episode, I would love if you screenshot it and threw it in your Instagram stories. Tag me at Ordinary to Badass. And tag Stephanie at Heart and Soul Fitness and Wellness. And that's Soul, S-O-L-E. Heart and Soul Fitness and Wellness. Let us know. Take a screenshot of Stephanie's episode or this episode and let us know what your takeaways were. What did you learn from Stephanie? What did you implement? How did it impact your life? So important to share our takeaways and share what we learned because our badass guests on the show are vulnerable and really share their story so we don't have to go through it ourselves, so that we can learn from what they went through and learn from their hardships and their struggles. All right, I look forward to hearing from you on the gram, hearing what your takeaway was. And with that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.